Greetings, comrades. Compliments of the new year. This is our first broadcast in January 2024. We hope you are okay wherever you are. We are here briefly to respond to questions that you might have. We've recorded a video explaining about the waivers. There are also those that are not on ZEP that think that they apply for these waivers like holders of ZEP. So if you have done that, we think that they are going to reject your application because this waiver application is for ZEP holders. I'm not saying if you are not a ZEP holder, you cannot apply for a waiver, but it is a different process altogether from those that are holders of ZEP. Because generally, those that are holders of ZEP are people of low skill. So if you are also a person of low skill, but you are not in the ZEP category, you cannot be able to apply for a waiver like what holders of ZEP are currently doing. And then there are those that are finding difficult to get their kids enrolled in schools. Some do not have, their kids do not have study visas. And when we ask if the parents do have visas to be in South Africa, they tell us that they do not have. If I'm a parent, I'm not legal in the country. I cannot apply for my child to have a study visa. So the advice that we are giving to you, instead of staying with your kids in South Africa without them going to school, it's better that you take your kids back to Zimbabwe so that they go to school. I mean, most parents have their kids studying in Zimbabwe, so it's no use to keep your kids in South Africa and they are unable to go to school because yourself, you can't get a visa and you can't get a visa for study visa for your kids. If you do not have anyone who can look after your kids in Zimbabwe, take them to a boarding school. There are boarding schools in Zimbabwe. As you know that every holiday, as we go to Easter holidays, you will see kids that their parents are in South Africa who are studying in Zimbabwe coming to visit their families or their parents. So it's not advisable that you keep your kids in South Africa when they cannot access any study. And then there are those that are waiting for the outcome of their visas. It appears there is a delay in the Department of Home Affairs. We are engaging them. We know that some people applied for their waivers and visas 2 years ago, and they are yet to receive an outcome. We are trying our level best to get them to ensure that those that applied do get their outcome so that people can move to other visas. Um, there are also those that are applying for passports. The Zimbabwean government announced that Zimbabweans in South Africa will be able to apply for passports in South Africa. We are told that a comrade went to consulate yesterday. He was informed that the process will start in March to do so. But if you can go and get your passport forms and do what we always do, that either you go in person to Zimbabwe to submit your passport forms or ask a family member to submit your passport forms. Because if you know that your passport is going to expire in 2024, it doesn't matter whether it's November, December 2024. The advice is that you get a new passport so that when you apply for a visa, you apply using a new passport so that you do not have problems. Because you might apply for a visa now using a passport that will expire at the end of the year, and your visa outcome only comes out in February 2025. And then you will be needing a new passport. And then you find yourself starting the process all over again to have your visa being moved from the passport that has just expired to the new passport, which again, it's a process. So why not then apply for a new passport now, even if it's left with a year to expire, so that you do not have problems when your visa is out. We said we are here to take questions. Yeah, there are some who are castigating us on social media, particularly on this YouTube channel. When we said we did make a submission as an African Diaspora Forum, remember that today is the deadline for those that want to make submissions in response to the white paper that the Minister of Home Affairs put out to the public for comments. Yes, we did put our views as well. We did make our submission. You will also know that we part of the submission that we are making is that we have domestic workers of migrant origin, mainly from Zimbabwe, who are undocumented. My other comrades are saying I am wrong if I'm saying undocumented. They are saying they are illegal immigrants. And in the discussions that we have been having, I was saying, okay, we use your term, illegal immigrant. They are such domestic workers that are employed by the South African middle class, black and white. So we advocate that they be granted special visas for them to work as domestic workers because they are working. We have been clarifying our proposal, saying that we are not saying or proposing that those that are in Zimbabwe or even in South Africa who are not working should be granted those visas. We are only speaking for people that are already working, people that are domestic workers who have proof that they are working. We have said if government accepts our proposal, it will indeed assist these domestic workers. If a government rejects our proposal, again, we will have to live with it. But we are not in any way advocating that a minimum wage should not be adhered to. What we are simply saying is that, which we have been explaining, is that the minimum wage is 25 rands an hour, which if someone works for about 6 days, 8 hours a day, you can get up to 4,800 monthly salary for a domestic worker. There are many domestic workers who do not stay at the workplace. So if you are paid 4,800, there's transport cost that is involved. Assuming you spend say your transport to work is a 40 rand return per day. So you travel 6 days spending 40 rand on transport. You can do your maths on how much that would be per month, and also the rentals, which you will have to subtract from the 4,800, which is the minimum wage. So what other employers are doing, instead of paying the minimum wage, which is 4,800 or 25 rands an hour, they will negotiate with the worker to say we pay you between 16 and 18 rand an hour, which then it takes into consideration the transport and accommodation cost. So if then you get paid 3,000 rands without the transport and accommodation, the employer would have compensated the transport and accommodation because you stay at the workplace. So we said there's many who find themselves in such a situation that are paid 3,000 rands or so, who stay at the workplace. But the challenge is that they are not documented. Because they are not documented or do not have permits, their movement is restricted. So this is what we are saying. But of course, like I'm saying, others do agree with us what we are raising. Others are opposed to it. We cannot agree on anything. We accept that we cannot agree on anything, on everything, so to speak, not on anything. We cannot agree on everything. We agree on other issues and disagree on other issues, and we accept that's what should be happening. I noticed that one comrade wrote some 14 hours ago that is still waiting for a waiver that applied in 2022 November. We are still following up, as I said earlier on, that we are talking to Home Affairs so that they uh, speed up the process so that the people understand, know that what the outcome is and the plan for their future. Let me address the last point. Thanks, Comrade Ncube Pretty. Let me address the last point because some people have been threatening me in my WhatsApp. Some people are saying I'm alerting the South African government. This is in reference to block the IDs. We are not alerting the South African government. It is common cause, which government of South Africa is very much aware of. This is why they've been blocking these IDs. It is common cause that a number of people that when they came to South Africa, be in the 70s, in the 80s, in the 90s, they applied for South African IDs because they could not manage or qualify to apply for other work visas. So they to apply for South African IDs. So this is why in 1995-96, an amnesty was granted to such individuals. So you can't then say, I'm alerting the South African government when it is the South African government itself that granted an amnesty to such individuals. But there are some during that time, we had South African IDs who did not take advantage of the amnesty, right? And then again in 2010, 2009, 2010, South African government again granted an amnesty to people that had South African IDs. There were about, in 2010, I know there were about, the information that we received is that there were about 6,000 Zimbabweans that came forward that they said that fraudulently acquired South African documents, IDs. The ID is authentic. What is fraudulent is misrepresentation of an individual. A person will say is born in Wanongoma when the person is born in Zimbabwe, in Cholocho, as an example, or Ngai. That becomes fraudulent because you are misrepresenting yourself. So government recognized this and offered such individuals amnesty in 2010. 6,000 of them responded to the amnesty. A number of them, the 6,000, though some of the 6,000 are using Zimbabwe exemption permits. So it's not that everyone who's on ZEP had a South African ID. It's only 6,000 out of the 245,000 people that were granted permits in 2010. So you can again do the mathematics to say what is 6,000 in percentage form to 245,000. Any case, 295,000 had applied to be granted visas. Thank you, Comrade Barbara Takawir. They applied to get payments. So you can do your math to say what is 6,000 to 295,000 in percentage form. So again, other people did not come forward in 2010, which then meant that the South African government, through the Department of Home Affairs, they've been marking those IDs. You go to a bank, you want to do a transaction, the bank will say your ID is under investigation. You can't do any transaction. So a number of South Africans have been affected because there's suspicion that these IDs might be in the hands of non-South Africans. So they've been marked, and the people can't do any transaction. People can't renew their driver's licenses. People can't have a life. So this is why the High Court then said the Department of Home Affairs has no right to block those IDs. It has to unblock those IDs, right? And that is for South Africans, right? Now, we are now daily receiving messages, including a voice note that it talks about me. Like I said in the video yesterday, that I do not have a spokesperson. I have never appointed someone to speak on my behalf. So if there are issues that I need to deal with, I speak for myself. The comrade who assisted me was the spokesperson of the Zim community, is Comrade Bongani Mazum Kwanas. Other than that, I do not have any spokesperson that speaks for me. So there is then a voice note that has been widely circulating that we assist the people in unblocking those IDs. We do not do such. We do not assist any single soul to unblock an ID. South African knows that if their ID was blocked, they know they go to their nearest Department of Home Affairs. So we don't do that ourselves. Or myself in particular, we don't do such. So there are those that are migrants that will then say, Mapena, we received a message that you are able to assist us to unblock my ID, which was blocked. That's a criminal offense. Any case, if you are caught with that ID because you did not respond to the two amnesties that were granted, it's a criminal offense. You are going to be arrested, charged with a fraud. I don't know what is the minimum sentence if you are caught on such. After serving your sentence, you are going to be deported. So that's the reality. Then for people then to come to my inbox to say, no, Comrade Mapeni, you are now alerting the South African government. How can I alert the South African government on something that they are very much aware? This is why they are marking certain IDs, because they suspect that this person might be a migrant who fraudulently acquired a South African ID. So just to conclude, we do not assist anyone. Do not send us a message to say, Comrade Mabena, my ID was blocked. Can you assist me to unblock it? We don't do such. Our job, and this must be very clear, our job is to advise you on what the immigration laws in South Africa say. This is why in this YouTube channel, we dedicate most of our time speaking to, in particular, holders of ZEP to say what you need to do to move to another visa as per the government or cabinet a resolution that they are not renewing the Zimbabwe exemption permits, but they offered people to move to other visas. So this is what we have been doing in the past 2-3 years to give you information so that you are not left out. We are not advocating for people that did not take advantage of an amnesty that was granted. So if there was an amnesty and you did not take up that amnesty, there's nothing ourselves we can do. And like I said, you are likely to be arrested, charged with a fraud. After serving your sentence, you get deported. Thanks, Comrade Ncube, and all of you comrades that have joined. Have a great day. We will do a summary in another video later in the day on what the white paper says. And the deadline, as we said, is today. And we've made our own submission. Whether it's accepted or it's thrown away, it's fine. Otherwise, have a great day. Goodbye.